Welcome to Attenuation, a weekly podcast where two friends come together to drink beer, discuss beer styles and trends, and just generally ruminate on the meaning of life, aka beer. If you enjoy your time with us, we invite you to become a weekly listener and subscribe to the podcast. Without further ado, here is this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to episode 89 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
Hello.
Long time no see, sir.
Right? I was like, oh my gosh, what do I say?
Hello works.
Oh, wait, that is what I'm supposed to say, right? Yeah, okay, it's hello. That's me at the end. You got me there. You got me thinking I was not right. Okay.
No, you were perfect. You shouldn't have doubted yourself.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We apologize to our listeners who have cried for the last 3 or 4 Mondays. There was no new Attenuation of Beer podcast episode, but we hope you went back and listened to some others.
Yeah, there's a big catalog to choose from.
But we're glad to be back. Happy New Year.
Welcome to 2023.
Yeah.
You know, we're like almost halfway done with January already.
It's insane. It really is insane.
Time just keeps going faster and faster. I don't like it, Steven.
Yeah, I couldn't believe. Well, I'll talk about this a little bit in Storytime with Steve, but made sort of a whirlwind trip to California last week, and it was just crazy because that was like I left before the new year and then came back, and I was like a week already into the new year, and it's like, whoa, what the heck? Just goes too fast.
So today we're going to do a year in review. So we're going to talk about our regular topics, but then also I think we're both going to pick the 5 beers that we drank in 2022 that we liked the most.
This is like our, what is it? The Spotify Wrapped or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, well, we should have done like award categories, maybe next year. But this year it's just going to be our top 5. So
yeah, we could do a whole award show.
All right, next year, 2023, we'll do our award show recap. But speaking of our favorite beers, we have to add... Oh, these won't count. These are 2023 beers, so these can't count, Steven.
Nope.
But we got to do our favorite segment of the podcast, and that's drinking beer. So the way it works is I introduce my beer, give nose notes. Steven does the same. And then we cheers and give tasting notes. So I'm super pumped about the beer I have. I got it through Tavor, I think, yeah. And it's Wizard Burial Ground from Brewery Vivant. I really want to go. It's like on my
Michigan,
list.
Right?
Yeah, and it's like they have a little like chapel, and I don't know. It just looks like such a cool brewery. So I was super excited to like at least be able to try a beer from there, even if I haven't gotten to go there yet. But I used to live in Michigan, so they're located in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is like an hour from where I used to live. So. Dang. In some alternative timeline, I still live in Michigan and I drink all this cool beer. But this is a bourbon barrel-aged quad. And it's like an annual release. I think they've been doing it since 2010, maybe? So, pretty cool.
Solid 93 on Beer Advocate.
Yeah, it has good ratings. Wow, it's a lot lighter than I was expecting. It's like a very dark amber orange, almost brown. Ooh, it smells so good, Steven. Now this one is, the ABV varies by year. This one is a strong one. It's 14.3.
This is the strongest they've ever brewed.
I noticed that, so I'm a little bit spooked by that, but
it's what the people want.
They want stronger beer. Wow, it has a lot of really good flavors on the nose. It's sweet. There's like a very sweet toffee smell, and then I'm getting like a lot of dark fruits, grapes, maybe like plum. There's a little bit of that boozy smell, but not less than I expected. And a little funk, a little yeast. So I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of bourbon barrel-aged quads.
I know, like my brain is like, I don't know what to do with this. So yeah, I do think that's where the sweetness is coming from. It's that bourbon barrel aging. So, all right, what are you drinking today, sir?
Okay, so today I am pretty excited about my beer as well. This is a beer I picked up at the Jaguar Shark, the Pinthouse Pizza Jaguar Shark release.
Nice.
So Jaguar Shark is their annual Imperial Barrel-Aged Stout release. And then they usually do a few different variants. And then they do what's called the Deep Search series, where they do 3 or 4 collaborations with other breweries on barrel-aged stouts. So this one is the Jaguar Shark Deep Search Toppling Goliath.
Oh, perfect. That's so great.
This is Pinthouse Pizza, or Pinthouse Brewing, and Toppling Goliath collaboration. Bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout, 10.5% ABV. I want to say this is, I think it's vanilla, coconut, and granola, I think is the adjuncts.
Interesting. Granola, huh?
See if there's actually chunks of granola.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Oh, that is
nice and dark. Super, super opaque, dark. It's like it poured very, very thick as well. Nice little 1/4 inch of retaining head. Ooh. Okay, definitely getting the coconut on the nose. Sweet chocolate, like a Mounds bar.
Ooh, I like that.
Very sweet milk chocolate and coconut. Maybe a touch of almond. Definitely getting a little bit of that like sort of cinnamony granola flavor too. Oh man. And just like the slightest hint of bourbon. Like just barely enough to tell that, there was some barrel on this, but it smells really good. That coconut coming off it, it's like really sweet. Oh.
All right, we got to drink these.
All right.
Cheers. My brain doesn't know what to do with this beer. Because when I first taste it, it's a little bit like you get the bourbon, so it's like very sweet on the entrance, like sweet malt, like caramel, and it has sort of like a dark fruit and bourbon flavor. But then, like after the initial entrance, then it takes like a hard right to the quad flavors.
Okay.
But there's like still that bourbon barrel influence. So then it's kind of like raisiny, grape, kind of like a little, not really yeasty, but it just starts to taste more like a quad. So like, like fig, grape. But then all of a sudden you get like the vanilla a little bit at the end. So it's really strange. It's like the
quads are weird.
Yeah, quads are weird, and then the bourbon barrel aging, I feel like really threw a loop on it. But what I will say is like it does work. Like after I take like 4 or 5 sips, I'm like, oh, okay. Like once I'm tracking like what's gonna happen, like, oh, this is good. I can see why people like this. And then it is really boozy, but you don't really taste it. At the very end, there's a little bit of like a flash of like ethanol, maybe like that gas, like like what comes off gasoline. I don't know how to describe that, but then it's like gone pretty quickly. So it's good. Yeah, definitely thumbs up.
Awesome.
How is yours?
It's really good.
Oh, good.
It's so good. So like I told you while we were tasting, like I think this would be too sweet for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it is pretty cloyingly sweet, but it's just like ripples of vanilla, coconut, and chocolate, like over and over and over again, and they're all sweet. It's like ice cream.
Nice.
And it's even in the mouth feel, it's like thick, sort of like syrupy in a way. Like it's just very like coats the whole inside of your mouth with sweet coconut sugar.
Nice.
But yeah, and then there are some nice subtleties to it. Like all that sweetness is balanced definitely with a little bit of the malt bill, the like roasted coffee undertones from the roasted malts. Definitely a little bit of booze heat towards the end, just sort of a flash. But man, it's just like this is a dessert in a glass, and it's so good.
No, that's awesome.
And I just love this. Is two breweries that I love so much coming together, and
I love that. This. Yeah, I was so excited when I heard that they did one with Toppling Goliath, because I know that's like one of your favorites.
Well, it's funny because months before this, I was in Pinthouse and I had my Toppling Goliath sweatshirt on, and when I went up to the bar, the guy was like, "Oh, do you like them?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I love this brewery." And they're like. And they said, "Oh, we're doing a collaboration with them. Look out for it in the next few months." And I just kind of I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then sort of forgot about it.
Yeah, you like filed that away.
So I was like, "Oh, it was the Jaguar Shark collaboration. That's amazing." So
that's awesome.
Very, very excited.
All right, cool. Double thumbs
2
up.
2 thumbs up. Yeah.
Yep. That means we're off to a good start. All right, so next we have Postscripts, Beer News, and Storytime with Steve. Postscripts is where we fix things from previous episode, and then Beer News and Storytime with Steve are self-explanatory. Do we have any postscripts? I don't think so.
If we do,
it's so long ago.
Forgot.
All right, I'm hereby declaring that we're wiping the postscript log clean.
Yeah, start fresh.
We're starting fresh. We're all caught up.
New Year's resolution.
The checklist is wiped. You know, that's like, do you know those jokes about like getting to, I don't know if you get a lot of emails at work. I get so many emails at work, but they always talk about like inbox zero, like getting your inbox like organized and down to like 0 emails. Uh-huh. And there's always like a joke of like, well, there's 2 ways you could do it. You could do it the right way, like where you read and organize all your emails, or you could just like select all and just delete. That's what we're doing with the. Yeah. If there's any postscripts, we're just select all, deleting them.
Sorry, we're just gonna leave those questions unanswered forever.
I do have like fantasies about doing that at work. Like it would just feel so good to select every email I had, just delete all of them.
Start fresh.
It would not go well for my career, but it would be really fun for like a day.
Look at that inbox looking so nice.
It's empty. So anyways,
and
so
I got fired, so now
yeah, it's really empty. my that's not the only thing that's gonna be empty. So yeah, so no postscripts, but we do have a beer news. That's when we discovered it. It really hit close to both of our hearts.
Yeah, I'll do this quick one before we get into that one. I was just reading like just yesterday. I think Avery, the 2 breweries, Avery, which is from Colorado, and Founders from Michigan, they are sort of officially owned now, majority stake into sort of one beverage company called Mahu, I think. It's actually based out of Madrid, and they have some imports and stuff they do. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those weird new age ownership changes and conglomerate, merging of breweries that like doesn't really make that much difference in terms of the breweries doing what they've already been doing.
Gotcha.
So I just thought it was interesting. We're seeing a lot of that now.
Yep.
And it's almost like news, but not news.
It's the way things are.
Because it's just it's just the way things are. So I thought that was interesting. But now let's get into the real good one.
The juicy one.
Yeah.
So we have to give credit because we're gonna cite a lot from an article on Good Beer Hunting about New Belgium changing flat tires recipe.
I live for Good Beer Hunting, by the way.
I haven't read it.
I'll plug them again.
I don't know if I've read much from them, but I'll add them to my favorites and see what they post.
They're like light years ahead of me in terms of beer knowledge, and so it's just interesting to read some of the stuff they post. Some of it's super weird and super out there, but yeah, this is a good article.
And this is by Kate Bernat. So good job, Kate. You wrote a really good article. We liked it. But it made us sad. I don't know if it made you sad too.
Made me very sad, actually.
But I mean, the bottom line is that fat tire sales have been really in steady decline. And then what I didn't know is they actually talked about, I guess they've done it a couple times, but they've been retooling the recipe. Because, it's basically the flagship beer of New Belgium. And like we visited this year. And I don't know, there's just so much about like the bikes, and it's the bikes with the fat tire. Mm-hmm. It was like his experience when he was in the country riding that bike, and then like I don't know, it's all
the romantic.
It's the romantic story of the beer, or it's the romantic story of the brewery is this beer. Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but the romantic story of like my craft beer experience. New Belgium Fat Tire was one of those like gateway beers for me.
Yeah.
Along the way that introduced me to the amber ale style, introduced me to different types of beer. It's an OG craft beer, and so when they talk about retooling the recipe, like I get that happens, but this is like a big one. This time it's
and specifically they're retooling it to like quote unquote make it more drinkable, which basically just means
it's an amber ale.
Make it lamer.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't get. Also, like amber, I don't know, a more drinkable fat tire. Fat tire is very drinkable.
Well, and the weird thing about it too is that, and they do a good job of talking about this in the article, but New Belgium's doing excellent as far as like beer sales overall, because they have their Voodoo Ranger line, and that is selling exceptionally well in retail stores.
Killing it.
Yeah. It says they're up 30% in 2022 retail sales, while craft beer as a general category is down 7.9%. So like when everything is going down, they're going like up by 1/3 of sales, that's really incredible. They're basically swimming upstream with Voodoo Ranger. So
I will say I recently had the Juicy Haze.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty legit keep in your beer fridge all the time.
Yeah.
Hazy IPA.
A go-to. Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of have to give her credit, or something that you would like for a party. Keep on, like it's just a good one to have in your fridge all the time.
So it's a little strange. Like, I don't know, if it was up to me and Steven, we're like idealists at heart. It's like, well, we're making tons of money off Voodoo Ranger. Do we have to tweak like our romantic
can't you
beer?
Just
make less of it.
Make your production of Fat Tire meet the demand.
Yeah, one of the days you usually make Fat Tire, just make more Voodoo Ranger.
Yeah, seems weird.
But I don't know. We don't own big businesses, so maybe we don't.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was
Somebody
in charge.
listening is just like, oh my god,
these guys are idiots. Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Well, it works like that for us. So, but then it was kind of interesting because reading the article, I didn't realize they made a couple of changes. They talked about, so it's been brewed since 1991, so it has quite a history.
Yeah.
But it's gone through 2 refreshes. The first one was in 2017. They swapped amber ale on the beer's packaging for Belgian style ale, which is interesting.
Very.
Yeah, I like it's so funny because it ties back to so many of our previous episodes where we always talk about like you can call anything you want as long as you say style.
Yeah. Well, what's even funnier with this is like Belgian style ale. Like there's so many different Belgian styles. You know what I mean? That's such a broad way to describe the beer. And I wouldn't think that would be a more marketable strategy.
I don't think it was, because then in 2019 they changed the packaging again.
Went back to amber.
They put amber ale back on.
Yeah, that doesn't seem more like, and you're not casting a wider net by saying this is a Belgian style ale. I feel like more people would be like, what is that?
Yeah, so I don't know. We had a lot of thoughts and feelings about it. And one of the feelings that makes me sad is like, what's probably true is that people's tastes are just changing. And I don't know. This isn't like the hotness anymore, or it's not like the gateway beer. Maybe there's other beers that are being the gateway beers now for people, but I don't know. It was definitely the gateway beer for, I think, you, and I definitely had a stage where I was like obsessed with Fat Tire. So to hear it's changing just makes me sad.
Yeah, I'm very much sort of the old man yelling "Get off my lawn" on this one right now, because I just hate. I hate when good things change for, I don't know, for no reason.
You know, the Homer Simpson, there's like that where he's yelling at the clouds. Grandpa Simpson is yelling at the clouds. Yeah, old man yells at clouds. We're both having an old man yelling at clouds moment.
Yeah.
But
I just don't like change sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, and there's like, historically, there aren't a lot of good recipe changes when it comes to beers. In fact, there was a conversation recently on Instagram about this very same thing. What recipe change like ruined your favorite beer? And I was surprised to see how many.
Can I guess?
Yeah,
Was it the agave nectar? What is it?
Otrivés. Yeah. That was mine. But it was surprising to see how many other examples were in the comments.
Were there other people saying Otrivés?
A few people.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. It always comes up.
Your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I know. I should reach out to those people individually and be like, I love you. I don't know you, but I love you.
I'm actually one of them. I loved the original Otrivés.
Yeah, so there's just not a lot of good recipe retools, good examples of that. And I worry about these types of business decisions where it's like sometimes the business is trying to get ahead of something that they don't really need to get ahead of.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the people that appreciate Fat Tire always appreciate Fat Tire.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like you're going to capture. I mean, you could just create a new beer, a new lighter golden ale or something, market it as something new, and your sales would probably be better than they would by just retooling Fat Tire.
Yeah, again,
you're
it's
get
like
people who actually like Fat Tire. They're gonna get it, drink it, and be like, "This isn't the Fat Tire I remember."
Yeah, you're burning a bridge with all like your regular drinkers. So I don't know. Obviously, we don't run a brewery, but yeah, it
I
just
wish
seems.
somebody would listen to us.
I know. It just seems like leave it alone, and yeah, I like what you said, like, or spin off like a Fat Tire Light, or I don't know. Well, don't call it light because that sounds like diet, but like, I don't know, Fat Tire or something else, and like spin it off, but keep the original recipe. Because I do think like, yeah, you are like, now the next time I drink Fat Tire, well, I've already kind of like self-suggested to myself to not like it, but
Yeah.
I'll always have that like question in the back of my mind, like, wait, this isn't the thing I liked before, so I don't know. Anyways, it is what it is.
All right. So, yeah, we'll move on to story time with Steve, despite the sadness we feel about the death of Fat Tire.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
We're watching the death of Fat Tire
Yeah.
live. So, story time with Steve, I just wanted to talk about, because I love this place. It's my favorite place in the whole wide world. I just feel like a different person when I'm there.
It's your happy place.
Yeah, it's Russian River, the Windsor facility. I just love that place. So we were in California last week, and on New Year's Day, the weather, we finally got a break in the weather because it has been raining like nonstop for weeks and weeks over there in California, as you know.
We're getting a
very
lot of
well.
weather.
As you know more than I do.
Yeah.
But it was very rainy for this week, but we did have a break in that weather on New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and the wife and kids all went over to the coast to go to the beach. But on our way, we went to Russian River and had lunch. And it was pretty cool because we got there like right at 11. We were like literally the first ones walking in as they opened up. And it's just so beautiful. The food is just so freaking delicious. And of course, the beer is amazing. And beer just hits different there. It just hits different. It's so good. So I drink a really good IPA. Everything they make is amazing. But then I drank a Intinction Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, nice.
Which won silver, I think, at the Great American Beer Festival this last year. So it was really cool to be able to drink that because we didn't even get anything from Russian River when we were at the beer festival.
Yeah.
We thought we were too good for the line, and then when there was no line, we tried to go and realized, oh no, they kicked everything.
Yep, it was all done.
Yeah, but it was so good. Everything Intinction, everything they make in that cool ship, that wild fermented stuff is just so on point, so delicious. So it was just a really fun experience. We didn't spend a whole lot of time there, but it's really cool. They have sort of right in the middle of their dining area, they have what's called their, I can't remember what they call it, some sort of mini brewery or trial brewery. Anyway, it's like their small brewery right in the middle of the dining area where they just do like experimental stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever, like trial runs of stuff. Well, just recently they installed a big mirror over the fermenter.
Really?
So you can look down, so you can look at the mirror and see what's going on in the fermentation tank.
That's so cool.
Because, they have the open top fermenters.
Yeah, I do. I love that place.
So anyway, just super obsessed with all that. And I just love every second that I get to be there. And actually, what's funny is like, as soon as I got back home. So I don't know if you remember, last year they delayed the Pliny the Younger release.
Yes, I
to
remember
March.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember why exactly. I think they were just, maybe it was COVID related. I can't remember what it was, but they pushed it back to March.
Yeah, I don't recall.
So they've decided to permanently change it to March.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it will not be, it used to be the first week of February, and now it's going to be sort of late March.
Actually, don't mind that change.
Yeah, and what they realized is the weather was so nice.
That's what I was going to say. It's going to be way nicer. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just do it when the weather's nice? Especially at the Windsor facility. They have a huge outdoor area that they've been kind of remodeling for a while.
Okay.
And now it's like, I think it's ready to open. So it's like, why not use all that space? Now you can get more people in drinking Pliny the Younger faster.
What a silver lining.
Yeah. I know, right?
They're
So,
like, oh, wait, this is better.
Exactly. But yeah, so soon after I got back to Texas, I saw on Instagram that they were like starting to brew it.
I saw the same thing. It was Vinny like standing by standing by like the open fermenter and all the foam's coming out? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited.
So cool. Yeah. Do you ever just think about, well, I don't know if you do this a lot, but I always think about things I would do if I was independently wealthy. And one of them is it'd
be me in that picture.
No, I would just like go by a house in Windsor and just like go work at. I wouldn't need money anymore, but I would just go work at Russian River and just be like super. I would like do the tours and just like nerd out to the next level.
Yeah,
be really fun.
Have a huge beer get.
Oh yeah, I'm rich, right? It doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. They'd be like, "Why do you work here?" Like, I love the beer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm jealous that you got to go there. It's one of the. It's like I should really go more often because I live so close, but I take it for granted.
I will say, man, just going to the grocery store and getting Pliny the Younger that easily.
That's something I'm totally desensitized to.
It's almost nauseating for me.
And it's wild here in California because, like, when I go to my like specialty grocery store, they have like the main beer aisle, but then they just have like an end cap that's literally just Russian River. So it's like 100 bottles of Pliny, and they're fresh.
So can I just say, too, like, this is contrasting a few years ago when I was there.
Oh, they didn't have that
before
at all.
I moved. It was like you were just lucky to go in there. You
couldn't get them.
And maybe like they would have a spot for it.
All the employees would buy. All the employees would just buy them before they even got to the shelf, too.
Yeah, but once they opened the Windsor facility and got the production up and running there, it's a game changer. It's so much easier to get.
Yep.
And I just bought one and took it back to the hotel, drank it. I actually walked into the hotel and was like, asked the front desk, like, hey, do you have anything that will open this?
This isn't twist off.
Pulled out a bottle opener and popped it for me.
That's awesome.
It's such a good beer. It's such a good beer.
It's incredible, and I take it completely for granted because I just see it every time I go to the grocery store. Like, oh yeah, there's Pliny.
Yeah,
I should drink them more often. All right. Well, speaking of beers, we love. Do you guys? Do you? This 14% is kicking in.
Yeah.
I see multiple of you. Yeah. Do you want to do our?
Viewer response.
Do you want to do our top 5 beers of 2022?
I do. Yeah, I'm actually really excited to when I quickly looked back over the beers of this year, I realized how good of a year it's been.
It's been a good year.
It's been a good beer year. And just honestly, the fact that I feel like I'm way more connected to the beer world. Like, I really feel like I have my finger on the pulse of craft beer.
Yeah.
More now. And
I mean,
so
you
it's
do
just
a weekly podcast about beer.
Well, that's true. But like, I don't know. I still have imposter syndrome. I still feel like I don't know anything about craft beer. So
we know more than some, but less than most. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You're somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just nice to feel like my beer knowledge has expanded and my beer tastes have expanded, which has been fun. Which you'll see from this list.
Yeah. No, I'm so excited about your new obsession with bourbon barrel-aged beer. So, all right.
Yeah, it's like an expensive hobby.
It can get expensive, but it's still affordable, like relative to wine and stuff like that. So
it's very true.
All right, I'll do my first one. This is going to be like a no-brainer, incredibly obvious. I'm going to go from most obvious to least obvious.
Okay.
So my number 1 beer of 2022 was Heady Topper from The Alchemist. Because Steven actually turned me on to this. I didn't even know. He's like, hey, did you know there's like a grocery store like in the city next door where you live? Like it's like insane beers. And I was like, no. So he kind of turned me onto this grocery store, and it's very strange. It's just like a convenience store, but they have an incredible beer selection. I don't know where they're getting this stuff. So I started following them on Instagram. And sure enough, they posted on Instagram. This is the one, I guess they get it once a year. This is the one time a year we get Heady Topper and Focal Banger. So I was like, all right, I gotta go. So on the way, I tried to go before work and they were closed because I start work early and they weren't even open yet. And I was like, no, I'm gonna miss it. So I went on the way home from work and thankfully they still had it. So I was super excited to get it. It's on my white whale list and it was incredible. I mean, you can go back a couple episodes. I think I tried it head to head against Pliny. And it was close. So, it's a great beer. I was so excited to try it. And I will definitely try to pick up another 4-pack when they get it next year. So,
that's awesome. I really had grand plans of going out to Pacific Market
while
I was in California. And I just never really even gotten into Sacramento. But
yeah, no, that's understandable. And yeah, they're cool. I followed them on Instagram and I just whenever they post, I get so excited because they just get incredible beers. So I don't know how they're doing it, but It's on the way home.
Resource.
It's on the way home from work. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's awesome. All right, so my first one is a beer that I honestly didn't even know if I was ever gonna drink, or at least for a very long time. But I was able to get Belgian Red from New Glarus.
That's right. Oh, I'm so jealous all over again.
Easily moved right up into my top 10 beers of all time. So
I'm like, is it jealousy or envy? I always get those two wrong.
I don't know.
Whatever one I'm supposed to be, I'm seething with that emotion.
Well, we'll call it even Steven since you got Eddie Topper.
So you're a Belgian Red convert then?
Yes.
So Wisconsin is making our shortlist then for our next trip.
Yeah, I think so. Or even some sort of Wisconsin, Michigan.
I know. We got to do. They're right next to each other. We got to do the combo.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think we got to do it. The flights are going to be a pain in the butt. But
it's going to be so hard to get.
But it'll be worth it.
Get there at the same time.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, cool. I'm really excited you got to try that because that was like probably the saddest part of we had a local, I think I've told the story before, but we had a local beer fest that would get that beer for no reason. I don't know why, because they only sell it in Wisconsin. So I don't know why they're like trying to get the word out all the way to California. But they would ship a bunch of bottles to this beer fest. So they didn't have anyone from the brewery. They just have volunteers pour it. But yeah, I would go back over and over and over again. I would probably drink.
They must have had some connection to someone at
someone at Subaru knew them or something, or they were friends. But they would get, they'd get a lot of bottles, and I would just get in the line, drink it, and then get back in the line.
Stand there
I probably drank like a whole 20. Well, I don't know if the bottles come in like 22 ounces or whatever. But eventually they'd just be like, okay, dude, you can just have as much as you want. Just stop getting back in line. But yeah. Okay, so my number 2 is the Fall of Umibozu that we had at that's from Bottle Logic. I guess that I think they made it a couple of years ago, but whatever reason they had some bottles of it. But I think Bottle Logic is one of my is my top 3 favorite breweries. So just to be able to try, we got to try it at Great America Beer Festival, just to be able to try like a super special release from them, and it lived up to the hype. They use some insane coffee that costs like $100 a pound or something, and coffee nerds got mad that they're wasting it, putting it in beer, so
yeah.
But
who they collaborated with on that, right?
No, I don't know.
Toppling Goliath.
Oh, of course. All roads lead to Toppling Goliath. So yeah, that was really fun to try. I didn't even know they were going to have that. It was one of those like where they have all those like releases where they have like X amount of bottles that they're going to open at 8 p.m. on Friday, and you have to be there, and the line is super long, and you're like going through the line and you're feeling all this anxiety that's going to like kick before you get to the front. So like, I don't know. It's just this like, it's so exciting. And then when you get to the front of the line and there's like still some left, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get to try it. So it was a little bit of the FOMO, but then the actual product was, worth the hype. So
it was fantastic.
It was really good.
Panama geisha beans, the most precious beans in the world. They're utterly devoid of bitterness. So,
yep.
The varietal's floral aromatics and delicate flavor notes of honeysuckle, bergamot, peach, and red fruit. So,
and there's some coffee podcast that we've never heard of, and they're like railing about the fact that they used that bean to they desecrated it by putting it in a beer. But you know what? We're on the other side of the aisle, and we loved it.
We loved it. That's awesome. Well, the second one to make my list was we make a U-turn back to Storytime with Steve, Russian River, Pliny the Younger 2022. It's so good. I mean, it really is the best hoppy beer I've ever had in my life. It's just this amazing dry hoppy IPA with just a beautiful malt backbone that supports the hoppiness, but just in the most beautiful way. And then it's 10.5% and just knocks you on your butt so quickly. But it's just so easy to drink, and it's so good. It's the perfect beer. I think at this point I have never had anything better. Pliny the Younger, and this year was no different. So
that's your number 1.
When I think about it, I was like, man, that was so ridiculous that I even flew out there.
No, it's awesome.
I really flew out there and went, like, because it would be one thing if you were going with me, but it was just me.
Yep. I couldn't make it.
Man, I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll go with you next year. Oh, wait, it's in a couple months. Actually, I probably won't.
Yeah, you probably
I'll
won't.
have a brand new baby. But in 2024...
Maybe you'll need a break.
Yeah, maybe my wife will let me out of the house. We'll see. But in 2024, I'm going. We're going. So
just something, if you ever have a chance, if you're listening to this podcast, you've never had Pliny the Younger, try to figure out a way to get there.
Well, and even just going on the tour at the Windsor facility.
Yeah, the brewery itself is worth visiting once in your life, so do it for the Pliny the Younger release, and then you'll really have the full experience.
Because we've been, like, between the two of us, we've been on quite a few brewery tours.
Mm-hmm.
That Windsor facility is like, it's on another...
It's like the masterpiece of beer making.
Yeah, it's on another level.
Yeah.
And it's set up. Like, when they built it, they had tours, like, in mind. So it's really well done. All right, that was your number 2. Are we going to my number 3?
2, yeah, okay. Your number 3, yeah.
Okay, my number 3 caught me totally off guard because I didn't even know this beer existed. So that's going to be true of the next 3. This is another Great American Beer Festival. And one of Steven's... This brewery is probably in your, like, top 5. WeldWorks.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was the Otra Noche. So, wait, hold on. Let me pull up my data. Because what I didn't know is they had all these variants. And they were pouring them all at the beer festival. They had 4 different variants.
So I'll make this one my number 3 too. So we're talking about it at the same time.
This is the one they collabed with Other Half, right?
Other Half.
Yes.
Yep.
So another like incredible brewery. And actually I had my honorable mention to Other Half. I think I had my first Other Half beer in 2022. Incredible. Like I think I would drink any beer that comes out of Other Half. But so you have like 2 incredibly lauded breweries working together on this one. And this was the one this is the vanilla, banana, and caramel variant.
Delicious.
It was so good.
I'm all in on bananas right now.
Right?
In my beer.
There's like some flavor. There's like I think we talked about this before, but there's like a pretty narrow window of adjuncts that work with like bourbon barrel aged stouts, but banana is underrated. People always go coffee, they always go vanilla, they always go coconut, but can we get more banana bourbon barrel aged stouts? Let's go banana and cinnamon. Yeah,
Anchorage makes one of their stouts. It's like some ridiculous banana stout with like, I don't know, some crazy Tahitian banana or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I am like obsessed with drinking this stout, but every time, a few times I've been able to like maybe get it, I just can't bring myself to pay the like $80 for the bottle.
You know what? Yeah, no shot. So like I
probably won't ever do that, but it's just like that's how obsessed I am with bananas in my stouts right now. Because
you know what we really got to do, Steven? This is like the bucket list thing. Because there's no way they sell those for that price if you walked into Alaska.
Yeah, probably.
They gotta be cheaper, right? All right, we're going to do some research. Our next trip is either going to be the Wisconsin-Michigan double tap.
Or we're going to
Alaska. Or we're going to Alaska. And we always like to sneak in really good hikes with our brewery trips. If we go to Alaska, imagine the hike we could go on.
Oh my gosh.
There's
a time when there's not snow up there.
I know. We got to go like in the 1 month where it's like warm. Also, the other thing about Alaska, apparently they have a bunch of bald eagles up there, which would be kind of cool to see.
That would be cool.
But yeah, that's what we got to do. We got to go to Alaska and drink all those beers. Cause I'm not paying $100 a bottle on tap or like Beer Shack for them.
We'll just get a flight.
Yeah. It's probably cheaper to go there and drink all those beers.
I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, so Otra Noche.
Yeah,
it made
on both our lists. Too, so, yeah. So bring it on. I used to be obsessed with like cinnamon because Rusty Nail uses a lot of cinnamon. But I think my 2023 obsession is going to be banana adjuncted bourbon barrel aged stouts.
I like it.
Okay, my number 4 is Arctic Devil from Midnight Sun Brewing. This was I think it's let me get this right.
You drank this on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it's an English barley wine. It's very high rated on Beer Advocate as far as English barley wines go. I want to say it was like in the top 10. But this is a style of beer that I really want to. I think I think we set this goal for 2022 of like I want to drink more barley wines, and I think I probably only drank like 2 the whole year. But one of them was this Arctic Devil, and it was so good. So it just kind of caught me off guard, like how much I liked it and how good it was. And it's funny because actually Midnight Sun Brewing is in Anchorage, Alaska. But it's not, obviously the brewery we've been talking about. So, but it's Alaska makes some good beer. That's what I got to say.
Hey, that would be a pretty sweet little trifecta.
There we go. We got a Midnight Sun. Yeah.
Midnight Sun and Anchorage would be amazing.
So yeah, it was good. It caught me off guard. So I'm getting more into like they caught me off guard beers. I really like this one. I would 100% get it again. I think I got it on Jaguar. But I just want to try, like, another goal for 2023 is like I want to drink more barley wines. It's just a style that I really enjoy, and there's not a lot of them out there, I think, that are like, I think it's kind of a niche. It's like a niche within a niche. Like, you have to be in a craft beer and then you have to be in a barley wine. So, but I want to try them. So I'm going to try. Let's go for 3 or 4 new barley wines in 2023. That's a achievable goal.
Yeah. Now, have you had Backwards Bastard or whatever it's called? It's from Founders.
No, I haven't.
Apparently, it's really good. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I have not had a lot, to be honest with you. The one I think I like the most, the one I consider like the gateway into barley wine, is Old Foghorn from
Anchor.
Yeah, Anchor. I think that I don't think a lot of people like Bigfoot from. I don't actually like Bigfoot as much. I think if you want to like break into barley wine, just drink Old Foghorn over and over and over again until you like it.
All right.
So yeah, that was
advice.
That one caught me off guard, and I really liked it, and I will keep an eye open it. I don't know if it's. I honestly don't know that much about it if it's like in constant production, but I will look for it in the future.
All right. Well, my number 4 is Overripe IPA from Great Notion, which I think you tried, right?
I did. I drank it on the podcast. It was fantastic. Yeah. It definitely gets an honorable mention.
That's the IPA with mangosteen. And that was one of those that like sort of creeped up on me, came out of nowhere. I just sort of was like, oh, Great Notion IPA. Yeah, probably good. And then it just blew me away. I just loved the balanced flavors. Whatever mangosteen tastes like, I guess that's what I was tasting. But it was just so well done. They have a ripe IPA, which I think is like very highly rated from them. It's one of their best IPAs. This was basically that, a version of that IPA with the mangosteen. And I've said for a long time, some of my favorite IPAs are adjuncted IPAs where they take one fruit and add that and kind of accentuate those flavors. So like IPAs with mango, IPAs with blood orange, IPAs with grapefruit. I tend to like some of those. Not like a milkshake IPA, but just a fruited. Yeah, fruited IPA. With a fruit adjunct. So, this IPA with mangosteen blew me away, sort of out of nowhere, and surprised me. So
that beer was fantastic. I tried it.
So Overripe IPA from Great Notion. That's my number 4. Okay. What's your number 5? What's your
my number 5, which is
the least expected?
Least expected. It's technically, I would say, this is my number 1 beer I drank in 2022.
Okay.
If I could drink this again, I would drink this over Heady Topper if I could drink this again. Because this has all the romance, and I'm all about romance. So we were at the Great American Beer Festival, and we were at the Sorry We Couldn't Be Here table, and I eyed something called Assembled Armor. It's a blend of Imperial Stout and barley wine, so it keys into that barley wine theme, that have been bourbon barrel aged with sesame seeds, sea salt, maple syrup, and cinnamon. And I love cinnamon in any kind of beer. It was so good, Steven. It just blew me out of the water. Totally, I didn't know it existed. It caught me totally off guard. But the second reason, like, I'm picking this beer is I got kind of obsessed with it. So I started stalking Melvin Brewing, and I emailed them. Okay. And I basically said, hey, I had this beer at the Wish We Were Here table at the Great American Beer Festival, and it was like my favorite beer of the entire festival. Was this a one-off, or is this something that you brew regularly? And they basically said, like, they responded with, like, within a day, which was super cool. And they're like, oh, we're so pumped that you liked it. You know, we have it. They're in Eureka, Missouri. So they're like, if you can, get to Missouri, like we can get it to you. And I'm like, no, I'm in California. So they definitely try to like connect me with the beer, but they don't distribute out this far. So,
Okay.
but I love that they just kind of reached out and they were kind of excited, and they were like, no, we make it. Like, if you can get to one of our pubs, you can buy it. And so
It's awesome.
yeah, it was really cool. So they're like near and dear to my heart now. So they're making the short list too, Stephen. Melvin Brewing in Eureka, Missouri, if you can make it out there.
That's amazing. It's really funny because at that time, we sort of split up for a minute.
Yeah, we did. We were not together.
We were sort of trying different beers along this because it was sort of a long table booth thing. And we kind of split up for a while and we're trying different things. And so, yeah, it was just fun to see you come back from that and talk about it. You were like, this was amazing.
To be fair, I was probably quite tipsy at the time, but it's just kind of fun. Like, it's the romance.
Well, discovering a beer like that.
It's the romance in me. It's like, I didn't know this beer existed before this moment, and it's like, it's a cross between a stout and a barley wine. It's bourbon barrel aged. It's got cinnamon in it. Like, this is made for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to discover that. That was my number one beer of 2022, and I will try to get it again. It's a white whale that I've experienced, but it's like we need a concept for that, like a whale that you want to catch again. But so what was your number 5? I don't know if it's your number 1, but I kind of saved my number 1 for last.
Yeah. So this is actually going to be really funny because it sort of summarizes this whole year and this whole sort of transition into enjoying barrel-aged stouts.
Yeah.
I just, Jason finally got his wish. And
finally corrupted you.
And A Night to End All Dawns.
Oh, yes.
From Kane Brewing. We drank at the beer festival. It was actually maybe one of the first beers, if not the first beer we drank on the first session.
I think we rushed to it.
Yeah. So we definitely kind of had a heads up on this beer. Jason, cross-references the list before we get there.
I made our top 20 beers we want to drink. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just so happened that this was on the list, and it was sort of one of the first breweries we came across. So we tried it, and I knew I was going to be trying more barrel-aged stouts, and maybe it was because it was the first one I tried. But ended up being the standard. I liked it so much that it ended up being the standard to which I held like every other barrel-aged stout that I tried during the festival. And you mentioned the Fall of Umibozu, Otra Noche. Those were the two that probably held up the best.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kept thinking in my head, man, I really, really liked the Night to End All Dawns. It was just so good. A nice milk chocolatey beer with a nice coffee roast to it, and the bourbon barrel aged added complexity, but didn't overwhelm the beer, and it just was, I don't know. It rates very high, and I can see why. It was just so good. So,
well, and to validate you, it was fantastic. As a person who's been into bourbon barrel aged stouts only a few more years than you, so. Steven in many ways has surpassed my expertise in craft beer, but I have drank more bourbon barrel aged stouts than you. This one's very good. So you're not wrong when you were like, oh, it sets the standard. It's fantastic. So no, it's nice. I like it. We finally made it. It's 2023 and you like bourbon barrel aged stouts, so
yeah.
I think I joked before we can just end the podcast, but
I think one of the cool things, too, about that beer is that it's not heavily adjuncted.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of one of those that stands on its own and just sort of thrives off the barrel aging. And I think it's barrel aged in 4 Roses barrels, I think, if not.
Actually, I think you're right.
I could be wrong, but.
Which is really cool. We both got a curiosity about bourbon. And here's a story time with Jason. I did a lot of purchasing at Bevmo for Christmas this year.
Okay.
And I wanted to get 4 Roses bourbon for people because I got it for my father and my brother-in-law. And I kind of told them the story of I watched the bourbon documentary that was really interesting. And then also Black Ops ages their that is aged in the Four Roses bourbon. So it's kind of like a cool tie to craft beer. And we discovered Black Ops. We both got to try it this year. Didn't make either of our lists, interestingly enough, but honorable mention for sure. And but I was gonna get one for myself, but they only had 2 bottles left, so I got I bought the 2 and I gave them both away as Christmas gifts. But I'm gonna I've been checking, like I'm waiting for them to restock. I'm definitely gonna grab a bottle of Four Roses. They have a bunch of different variants, but I want like I think they have like a single cask one that's supposed to be like their best one, and I want to get that just so I can try it, because I'm noticing more and more like, oh, a lot of these bourbon barrel aged beers use the Four Roses bourbon barrels, so that's kind of a cool connection between the craft beer and the bourbon world. So
one of my other sort of honorable mentions will be, I don't even remember the name, but it was from Pinthouse, and it was the flight of bourbon barrel aged stouts that I got. But the one that I liked the most was, again, another one sort of like where there wasn't heavily adjuncted. It was just sort of the barrels that had been aged in. And this one had been aged in Eagle Rare bourbon barrels, which are, I think it's Buffalo Trace. And then it's one of the bourbons they make is called Eagle Rare. And it was just so ridiculously smooth and delicious and all the things. So anyway, that's sort of one of the things I loved about the Night to End All Dawns, is that it didn't rely on heavy adjuncts. It was just basically a perfectly executed barrel aged stout.
there is something pure about that. It's like the cheese pizza.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like we just took whatever, like, good example is like the Fremont Brewing. They just take their, is it called the First Nail?
Mm-hmm.
That's like their stout, and then they do a bunch of variants of that. But like, if they just bourbon barrel age that with no adjuncts, it's like, well, what does this stout do when we put it in bourbon barrels without adding like vanilla, coconut, cinnamon, coffee? Like, there's something pure about that. It's like the cheese pizza of bourbon barrel aging. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can perfect that cheese pizza, then
yeah, it's like then you can build off that and like imagine what you can make from that. So that's super cool.
Well, that's quite the year.
I know. We tried so much good stuff this year. I can't believe
awesome
I tried Heady Topper. Yeah.
You got to do Heady Topper. You got to do Fundamental Observation, basically side by side with Rusty Nail.
Yeah.
And actually get a better idea of, your taste with that.
I got opened up to the whole world of the Otra Noche,
the Medianoche,
all the Medianoche variants. Yep.
Yeah.
I discovered Assembled Armor. Yeah, it was a good year.
Yeah, your love of WeldWorks.
Oh, WeldWorks jumped up
as big as
massively. Mine. I'm like obsessed. Yeah, WeldWorks is also on our short list. Like, you've been there, right?
I've been there.
Oh, so it's less exciting for you, but I want to go. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. I think next week I'm gonna do a side by side with the Juicy Bits, the Double Dry Hop Juicy Bits, and the extra juicy bits.
I will be very jealous or envious. That's our postscript. We're gonna figure out which is the right word.
Okay, we got a postscript.
Nice. We're gonna check it out.
We're not at postscript 0 anymore.
We're at postscript 1.
It's been 0 days since our last.
I'm writing it right now. Jealousy versus envy. It's in. Okay. For episode 90, we're clearing it. We're clearing our inbox.
It's like nauseous versus nauseating.
Yeah, I don't know. People use them interchangeably, but technically, there's probably a right word. So
yeah.
All right, is that an episode, Steven?
That's it.
Nice. All right, we are back.
We're 2020.
Drunk at the end of the episode. We both drink very strong beers. So thanks for bearing with us. If you're still here, we love you.
Yeah. Well, just a thank you for 2022.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Welcome to 2023. It's sorry we took a little bit of a break there, but a lot of crazy life things were happening, and
yes,
now we're back.
And there's more crazy life things coming. So we'll see. We'll see. We might take another little break, but yeah.
Hang with us.
Hang with us. If you want to reach out to us, we are on Instagram at attenuation.podcast. And you can also email us at contact.attenuation@gmail.com. This was episode 89 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
That's me.
And we're saying cheers, and we'll see you next week for episode 90.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Attenuation, a beer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more fun content. Catch you next week. Cheers!